Hello everyone. I am here doing the fall lovely and local box how-to tutorial video. So I'm hoping lots of you lovely and local box subscribers. Carla's there. Hi Carla. I'm hoping we can have a few of you join us live. Jacqueline, Jen Farnell. Hi everybody. How fun. Awesome. All right. So, okay, so we're going to do a live tutorial. So I think, oh, and Gabby, hi. I think if you have questions, I'm pretty sure you can ask questions. How can you tell I haven't done a ton of these live videos? Anyway, okay, so here we go. All right, so in your box, everyone would have received a palette. And I love palettes. Like I have, oh good, yes, someone's sending emojis. Oh, and words. Hi everyone. So if you've got any questions, please let me know. The more interactive, the better. So I love palettes. They are such a nice, convenient way to have all of your kind of favorite products all in one place. I use loads of palettes. Like if you've ever seen my makeup kit, I've got, tons and tons of palettes. Like I probably travel with, I don't even know, like 15 palettes, something like that. Obviously most people aren't, carrying around quite that much makeup in their daily lives, but for anyone who travels or just likes a really nice streamlined makeup kit, palettes really are the way to go. So I'm assuming most of you have probably opened up your palettes by now, but just in case you haven't, so this is the palette here. It's got just a little bit of kind of protective wrap on it. And so these are fully customizable palettes. So the one that came in your box is empty. And that's very intentional. We are going to be filling these up together over the upcoming lovely and local boxes that we have coming up in the months to come. The next one will be coming out closer to Christmas time, and I'm already busy planning what's going to be in it for you. And then what you would have received are two eyeshadows. So these are magnetic pans, which is really nice. And oh, there's Christina. Hi, Christina. These are magnetic pans, and so they will just sort of click right into the palette. And then what's nice about that is they won't fall out if you happen to drop your palette or something like that happens. And what's also nice about these palettes, these refills, is that, if you have a favorite eyeshadow or something that you've gone through really fast, it's really easy to just get replacements for the things that you've used up, and you don't have to replace the whole palette. I think we've all bought, kind of pre-filled palettes in the past where inevitably there's like one or two colors that you love and you use all the time, and then you finish them up, and then all that you're left with is like the really dark colors or the kind of more crazy stuff that you don't use quite as frequently, and then the palette's not quite as useful to you anymore. So you won't have that be the case with my palettes. All right, so there's sort of two sets of colors that went out. I had a more sort of cool gray toned set that went out. So that was Oomph and Eyes Closed. So again, those are sort of the more cool tones. And then I had a set go out, Hot Pants and New. And these are a bit warmer. So if you've got a slightly warmer complexion. So as always with all the boxes, I went through and I looked at everyone's pictures, and I went through and I looked at all the other shades of what I've been sending you so that I knew that these eyeshadows I was sending you would be a really good match for your complexion. All right, so get those eyeshadow pans, if you haven't done it already, get them into your palette. Often palettes will come with these sort of little protective layers. Once you've opened up your palette, personally, I would suggest throwing them out. I'm always kind of surprised, maybe impressed. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but whenever I get to go through someone's makeup bag, how often people have kind of kept all the protective plastic layers on everything. Like they've kind of kept the sheets on their palettes, and the brushes might still have like an individual brush cover on them. I always say get rid of all that stuff because it just kind of gets in the way and it's really not necessary. You want to be able to get into your makeup quickly, do what you need to do, and then like get out for the day. All right, so I'm going to be working with 3 different makeup brushes today. Quite a few of you probably have these brushes at this point. I don't think I've done the eye blender yet for anyone in the subscription boxes, so you guys might not have this one yet, but hang tight, it'll be coming soon. But we are going to be using this one lots. I'm going to be using the eye shader, which I think quite a few of you would have at this point. So that's a really handy brush. And then I'm also going to be using my little cream brush. So we're just focusing on eyes tonight because that is what was in the palette. So I've already got most of my makeup done. I've done my foundation. I did some concealer around the eyes. I got my eyebrows on, which if you know me without makeup, or you've seen pictures of me, because there's lots of pictures of me online without makeup, I really don't have eyebrows. So if they're not filled in, they're kind of invisible. And then just one of my tinted lip balms and a little bit of a lip pencil on the lips. But the eyes are pretty much bare except for mascara because I was running around earlier today and didn't really feel like running around without my mascara. Oh, Claire's on. Hi, Claire. All right, so first thing first, when it comes to doing your eye makeup, traditionally I would typically have my foundation and my eyebrows on. I wouldn't necessarily have done cheeks and all the rest of it, but I like to have my base foundation on. I find it helps to kind of neutralize any skin tone so that I can really see kind of what I'm working with, and it gives me a nice blank slate to work with. That's kind of the point of foundation. Having said that, let's say it's a more casual day and you're like, I don't really feel like doing foundation today. You certainly don't have to. So don't feel like in order to do eye makeup, you have to be wearing foundation. You don't. They don't go hand in hand. So don't make that kind of assumption. But having said that, if you are going to be putting eyeshadows on your eyes, you do want something on your eyelids to give a little stick. If you've got drier skin or anything and you've ever sort of tried to put eyeshadows on your eyes and it feels like the powder's not grabbing, like you can't get any color to show up, it's probably because the skin's bare. Like you have to have something a little bit sticky on there for the powders to really hold on to. So what I really like using is concealer. So I've got my concealer, I'm using shade N2. It's a good match for me. And so all I would do, and I already have a little bit on, but I'll just demo here for you again. Using that cream brush, I would just pick up a little bit of that concealer, and then all I'm going to do is pat it onto the eyelid. So I'm just patting and pressing onto the eyelid, and then I'm just going to blend a little bit through the crease. So I'm not taking it up as high as the brow bone. It's just on that mobile part and then up into the crease a little bit there. Just do the other eye here quickly. Concealers work really nicely as a primer. They function in almost an identical way. So if you are someone who is interested, I need more of your concealer, I'm almost out. Yes, you do. All right, we'll get you more, my friend. If you are, if you're someone who likes to streamline your makeup bag and you'd like to minimize the number of products that you have and you like products that can do dual function, concealer is definitely one of those categories. I would say for the most part, you can kind of skip the designated eye primer products and just use your concealer. It's got a nice, like again, a sticky, so it works really well. All right, so I'm going to be working with New and Hot Pants, so those slightly warmer brown tones, but again, you substitute in the two that you've got. So I'm going to start with New, which is the matte eyeshadow. So everyone would have received one matte, and matte just means no shimmer, one matte eyeshadow and one shimmer eyeshadow. The matte eyeshadow, and I'm going to actually use the one out of this palette here just because it's like my palette, and then I'm not going to open up a brand new one just for me to use tonight, but same eyeshadow here. These eyeshadows are like these matte, what I call mid-tone eyeshadows. I know they don't look very exciting or particularly interesting, but they are truly the workhorse of a really beautifully done eye makeup. They are the most functional, important eyeshadows really that you can have. So that's why I've started you off with them, because once you've got a good base transition shadow, the rest is just kind of icing on the cake, so to speak. So I'm going to go in with that eye blender brush. So it's just a nice tapered, fluffy brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shade New, which again is the matte one. And then I'm going to go I'm going to sweep it through the crease of the eye. So I just want to back up for 2 seconds. Not everyone has the same shape of eye. So you need to be able to kind of assess a little bit for yourself what your eye shape is. So I am, if you look at my eyes, I've got quite a bit of visible lid, and then, I've got like a fairly pronounced crease. So if that feels somewhat similar to your eye shape, then you're going to want to follow along with this first set of instructions. The other really common eye shape that a lot of us have is a little bit more of a deep set eye. So you might describe it as like a hooded eye, or you might just sort of have one eyelid. It doesn't really dip in and dip back up. if that's the case, you don't necessarily want to go in and try to create a crease where you don't have one, but that doesn't mean you can't do incredibly beautiful eye makeup. It just changes where you're placing your color. So if you're someone who has a crease, you want to take that matte eyeshadow on your blending brush, and then you're going to put your chin forward, forehead back, and look down your nose. And what that does is it gives a nice smooth expanse of skin, because you don't want to go in and do your makeup with your face all scrunched up, because then it'll make your eyeshadow go on really skippy. It'll skip. It won't look very nice. So I'm going to park that brush there, and then I'm going to go back and forth, windshield washer motion through that crease. Okay. How far to pull it is a really good and a really common question. So you don't want the ends to just end abruptly. You want your eyeshadow to taper off really nicely. Scrunched up exactly how I do it. So we want to avoid scrunching up our face when we're doing our makeup, because it'll make it go on. It'll look really, it'll skip, and you'll end up with sort of lines through your makeup. So as much as possible, you want to smooth it out. So you want to have this windshield washer motion, and try to keep it off the lid if you can. So the goal is to keep the lid bright and just blend that eyeshadow through the crease. And then you want to take it to, this is sort of the golden rule in eye makeup, is if you had, say, take a pencil or your brush from the corner of your nose to the corner of the eye to the corner of your eyebrow, you want to keep your eye makeup not going any further down than that point. So if you've been blending and it's dipped down a little bit low, you might find it makes your eyes look sad. We don't want sad eye makeup. We want our makeup to have this beautifully kind of uplifted effect. If it's gone too low, don't sweat it. Just grab your foundation brush or a little bit of that concealer and just use that almost like an eraser and just clean up any eyeshadow that's fallen too far. You can even just take the edge of your finger sometimes, and that's enough to clean it up. Okay, so that's if you have a crease. If you don't really find that you have a defined crease, or you're struggling with that windshield wiper motion and it's just not working for you, what you want to do instead, so I'll demo on this eye, is you want to just sweep your eyeshadow over the whole eyelid. So I'm going to go back in with that same brush. I'm going to pick up that same matte eyeshadow, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to pat and press right over the eyelid. Okay, so we're filling in that whole lid. And then I'm still going to do a little bit of that blending motion just to smooth out the transition of that eyeshadow. Okay, so you can kind of see the difference of the styles here. But again, if you don't have a really defined crease and or you're looking for a really nice, quick, simple option, just sweep a little bit of that matte eyeshadow over the eyelid. Okay, now we're going to jump over to our angled brush. So this is an angled shader brush. We're going to use this and we're going to put a little bit of eyeshadow on the bottom. So we're going to use eyeshadow as eyeliner. And this is where you can play around and have some fun. I mean, really, you can play around and have fun all the time anyway. But if you want to keep it safe and soft, take that same mid-tone shade that we were using and take that under the eye. Or if you want to have a little bit of fun and make it a little bit more, like a little more dramatic, a little more playful, we're going to go in with the Shimmer Eyeshadow. So again, same thing with my palette here. Hot Pants is this guy right here in the middle. So I'm going to pick up on that angled shader brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shimmer brown. And then starting, so I'm holding my angle, the tip of the brush is pointing out towards the outer corner of the eye. I'm going to take that angled brush and start right at the outer corner, and I'm just going to run it under the eye, and I'm going to stop about halfway. So this is an important point, because what a lot of people, especially if you're working with a stronger color, like you can see that one on a little bit darker, right? It has quite a bit of pigment to it. This will give you a little bit more of that, I don't want to say soft smoky, but it's trending in that direction. But the trick is to only take it halfway. So you want it to be darkest at the outer corner, and then you almost lighten up pressure as you're approaching the center of the eye so that the powder just tapers off to almost nothing. This will keep it nice and soft. If you want to go for more drama and you're like, no, I really want bigger, more dramatic eye makeup, then take that dark color and pull it the whole way across. But for most people, I find just doing halfway is more than enough. Because what even happens for a lot of people, even if you're intending to only bring it halfway, often you end up dragging it the whole way across the whole bottom of the eye. All right, so these would be kind of the basic things you can do, but of course, sky's the limit. You can do lots of different things with these. With that same darker eyeshadow, if you wanted, I'm gonna now pick up the same thing using that same angled shader brush. I'm gonna pick up a little bit on now the flat part of the brush, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna place this at the outer corner of the eye. So our eyeballs are round, right? Like a little anatomy lesson here. So you wanna think about hugging the perimeter of that eyeball. So it's almost gonna make like a little bit of a C shape right around the outside of the eye. So it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just gonna kind of pat that in place. And so one tip too, especially when you're working with shimmer eyeshadows, like who out there has had shimmery eyeshadows that have ended up all over their face, right? Like you've done this nice foundation and now you've got your sparkle eyeshadows out, and now when you look at yourself in the mirror when you're done, you look like, I won't say like a 3-year-old with sparkles, but there's a lot of shimmer going on all over the place that you didn't intend. And that's, yes, disco ball, yes. So what you want to do to kind of help minimize that is when you pick up your eyeshadows, first of all, and chest, yes, oh my gosh, the sparkles are falling. There's a lot of sparkles happening. If they're landing down here, there's like a serious amount of sparkle eyeshadow going on. I like it. So first of all, you can kind of tap off the brush, and that'll help to knock off a little bit of the excess eyeshadow. And then the other thing is more of a patting motion. So especially again with anything shimmery, press. So you'll notice here I'm not really blending. I'm pressing that shimmer eyeshadow onto the eye, and that will help to minimize the amount of sparkles that kind of go flying in all directions. Okay, so you can see what we're starting to do here, right? I guess like that little bit of that soft smoky thing. If it's gone on and it's looking a little rough or a little choppy, go back in with that blending brush, either just a clean brush like with no eyeshadow on it, or you can pick up a little bit more of that shimmer eyeshadow. And then all I'm gonna do is just blur the boundaries a little bit between the two. And then that way, because you want the transition from where we've kept it light, right? Because we had that more lighter shade on the inside of the eye to the darker shade to be a nice smooth eyeshadow transition. Another good point to mention is, for the most part, you don't want to put shimmer eyeshadows too far up into the crease of the eye and getting up onto this brow bone. There are some exceptions to this. Somebody like J-Lo will do this. Like if you ever really examine J-Lo's makeup, which I don't know if you guys do, but I do. I'm like obsessed with makeup, of course, and I'm always looking at people's makeup and seeing what they do. She'll use like tons of shimmer eyeshadow, and it's everywhere. But she's like a little bit of an exception. I think we can all agree. Most of us are not pop stars up on stage singing and dancing and performing. So for a lot of us, if we put shimmer too far up, it's going to make this upper brow bone area look puffy and heavier, which is not what we want. Most of us are trying to kind of turn back the hands of time a little bit and make this area look lifted and a little bit tighter. And so that's where you want to stick with more matte eyeshadows through the crease. And when you're going to use shimmer, because I still love shimmer, you just don't want it, again, necessarily going all over the entire eye area. You want to keep that shimmer closer to the mobile part of the lid, and or like what we did, wrapping it around the bottom of the lid. All right, so those are, I'm trying to think if there's anything else really important that I can tell you. This is obviously not like an entirely complete look, but this is the foundation of really great eyeshadows. And every time I go to do eye makeup, I will always start with some kind of transition color through the crease. It's always going to be some sort of mid-tone, so it's not too dark, it's not too light. You want something that looks like it could be a little bit of a natural shadow on your eye socket area and or right on the lid of the eye. And you just want to, again, just, you know, get everything blended out. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was I even talking about? Okay, so what else can I tell you? Sorry, apparently I'm starting to like lose it. Okay, I think we should start to wind this down. So thank you for joining me. And I hope everyone out there that is a lovely and local box subscriber, you all would have received this invitation, this beautiful invitation in your box for the exclusive event that I'm hosting with the one and only Kate Huco here in the city, who we love. Kate's a super fun, really dynamic, very talented fashion designer here in the city, and we have collaborated on lots of projects together over the years, and we've been talking about wanting to do something like this for a long time. So you've got that invite. We need you to RSVP because we do have limited space, partly because of our dear friend COVID. We just need to really be watching our numbers. And so I am really hoping to see all of you out there live. I will be doing more demos live in person. Come wearing your new eyeshadows, and I can give you some tips and some ideas and some feedback on how you're doing with it. One of the best things with makeup really is just playing around with it. So, you know, the more that you can just get in there and have some fun and try some new things, you know, like if you're in the habit of always doing your makeup the same way, challenge yourself to do it a little bit differently. It doesn't need to be completely radically out of the box, but do something a little different. And circling back, I regained my train of thought. I was talking about a finished look. So yeah, so I mean, this is a pretty, I mean, it's not entirely complete, but it's could be very close to a very complete look for the eyes. You know, I would, if I was going to finish this, of course, mascara, which I already have a little bit on. You know, you could go in and, you know, add something else like a, you know, highlight in the inner corner of the eye, maybe a little more eyeliner if you wanted to make it a little more dramatic, or maybe not, you know, like just one or two really simple eyeshadows can be a really beautiful, very polished look. And I think that's a really important thing to remember with makeup, you know, especially in this day and age of Instagram, and there's so much very cool, very bold, very transformative makeup that we're constantly seeing online. The thing is that does not necessarily translate to real life. And so, you know, to take pressure off yourself to feel like eyeshadow needs to be incredibly complex to be really beautiful and really effective. So I think that will be kind of my closing party message. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you all have a beautiful night and that you get to do some beautiful work with your eyeshadows. Okay, bye everyone.